Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world today. So yeah, did you watch my best LOA technique video the other day? Did you watch that video? I know some of you did. Maybe many of you did. But did you really watch it? I'm going to put a link above again to that video I did on the best LOA technique. Because I think it's probably one of the better car videos I've done. Period. Honestly. And I have a feeling that the majority of people who watched it did not understand what I was saying. Perhaps the large majority. And if you watch it again, if you watched that video once and you didn't think it was that stirring and you like my stuff, watch it again. Because like that video is not about letting go or feeling feelings or anything like that, really. It's about what approach to use today and tomorrow and the next day. What approach to use in order to feel better and in turn to manifest better things in your life. So I think it's a very helpful car video. And on that topic, since a lot of people ask, and quite a few people have asked recently in the last week or two, and I don't know if I've ever addressed it directly, why I'm making car videos as opposed to not being in the car. The answer is incredibly not profound. The answer is it's super easy for me to make car videos. And I'm a busy dude. And I don't like being that busy. So I try to manage my time to the best of my ability. And, I used to make videos in my office a lot. And it's just, my office, I have to get there, have to come back. I do it on the computer. It just took a lot more time. Likewise, even podcasts. My podcast is a different thing. It's a different vibe, right? But my podcast episode, each episode of that would take a lot longer to make than a car video. A car video is so simple to make. At least for me, because I'm comfortable in front of the camera. And, I majored undergraduate visual media arts from Emerson College, which is just a fancy word for film and video. So I feel comfortable being in front of the camera. That said, I just hit something here on my phone that is making the video thing seem weird, but whatever. We'll deal with it. So car videos, for me, are very easy to do. That's why I do them. And they're also super informal, which is also kind of what I'm all about, is being informal and having that degree of informal direct communication. Because so many spiritual and LOA teachers that you see talking about stuff on YouTube have this kind of this pretense. I'm telling you a very important law right now. Or this is a code of conduct for your life. And I mean, I can just tell you that 9 times out of 10, when people are saying that, they might have good stuff to share, but the delivery, all that stuff, it's like the emperor has no clothes. It's fucking bull. You don't need any of that pretense, at least most of the time. And when people use that pretense, it's to have you believe that they're saying something significant, even if they are not. In other words, it's instilling a belief into you, and basically a false belief, of their knowledge and their holiness and all this other stuff. It's usually ridiculous. I'll link above to this Joseph Murphy podcast episode I did recently about blind faith. And I think that one reason that you see on YouTube people like saying stuff about laws and listen very carefully to what I'm about to tell you and all this stuff is to like give this guise of like, authority, certainty and authority. And that when you believe that, which some people believe more if they see like, someone saying, dressed all properly and being like, this is a law, it will instill a blind faith in the person watching, and then they'll believe whatever they say. So it's really that blind faith that will often work for them if a technique works that this teacher shares and not anything particular that the teacher's sharing. Murphy talks about this really well in The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. Like I said, I'll link that link above. We'll talk about that. Yeah, I literally, after saying I feel comfortable with car videos, I literally like hit my phone for the first time while doing this, and like there's something with the exposure. So I apologize if I'm a little bit, I don't know, sunnier or shinier than usual. But, the other thing about car videos is that like, the pretension swept away. Like, and if it's like, it's so informal, and it's like, it's not about the quality. You can hear me, right? Like the audio is fine, the video is fine, right? It's just not, this is how life really is, which is unkempt, and like all over the place. And like that wildness, we should appreciate that. That informality is something we should appreciate. For me, that informality, that irreverence is a key aspect of how I live my life. It makes me feel free. It makes me feel calm. I wrote a short guide years ago called Wild Calm. And it's like that. It's that mixture of like that wildness, that those weeds growing out of the ground that, that aren't supposed to be there, quote unquote, they're there and they're going to grow whether you want them to be there or not. And it's like, acknowledge that. That's a large part of just being human, and also any kind of quote unquote spiritual practice you have. In manifesting circles, law of attraction circles, there is this real tendency to, try to hide that away, and not to admit that we get angry or upset or feel overwhelmed or sad or unsure of what to do. There's this kind of like puritanical shaming of people for admitting that. And it's appalling as far as I'm concerned a lot of the time, because it really dismisses our humanity and our inner, like the authenticity of who we are when we try to sweep that stuff under the rug, and if I dress up nicely and I'm talking about laws, so you're just sweeping shit under the rug. I don't want to do that. The way I can most effectively convey helpful advice to you, hopefully, is by being myself and by having you be yourself and just understanding heart to heart, like what we're talking about. That's what this is getting down to most of the time. And I just don't see a lot of that on YouTube. So that's a rambling but accurate explanation of why I do car videos. Yeah, and obviously this kind of thing is not for everybody. And I can tell you the law of attraction is not for everybody either. The problem, I think, is people think the law of attraction is this is like a one size fits all type thing, and whatever, man. As I often say, I'm not really talking about law of attraction stuff. I'm talking about your humanity, and your existence, and then like what that means. What that means, I guess you could say, spiritually for you. And spiritually, for me, and I think for everybody, really, it comes down to you're already okay. And it's about acknowledging that more and more freely and openly to yourself. It's not about acknowledging it to the world. It's not like, I'm enlightened, It's like, I'm okay. I've always been okay. You're okay. You've always been okay. We can convey that essence very well to each other in these car videos.